Hi everyone, today you're watching Man Carrying the Legacy of the Motion Picture Industry. Cinema is dying. Cinema isn't Marvel. I think I have those mixed up. If you're anything like me, then you've been noticing some crazy hot takes lately, thanks to our endless hot take factory called YouTube. We sure love talking about how bad TV is now. And if I've learned anything from these videos, it's that Marvel has killed cinema, or more specifically, franchise filmmaking has taken over the multiplex, which is true. The traditional story for the past decade or so has been movies are getting bigger, more expensive, and studios are relying on the success of a few tentpole films to keep them afloat. And because of this, real art, real filmmaking has been on the small screen. The small screen. TV. This has held true for the past 15, 20 years. For a while, we've been in the golden age of TV, but what this video posits is not anymore. This video is sponsored by Babbel. You know, back in the day, Nadia and I used to know a lot of Spanish. Nadia a lot more than I did. We took a lot of classes in college where we met, where we spoke a lot of Spanish, and we've gotten pretty bad at it, which is why I'm very happy to be sponsoring Babbel. Fall is the season of learning, as they say. Why not learn a new language? Babbel is one of the top language learning apps in the world. Lessons prepare you to have practical conversations about travel, business, and more. Babbel has quite a few options of subscriptions to choose from, including a lifetime subscription. Oh, hell yeah, I got all those right. One of my biggest goals in life is to be able to read one of my favorite books, 100 Years of Solitude, in its original language. I've just been using phrases now randomly throughout the day that I don't need to. Just donde está el baño, you know. I know where the bathroom is, I live here. I'm gonna be a Spanish-speaking guy. You have the option to choose if you're more of a private learner or if you're more of a vocal learner. Get 60% off on your subscription during their Black Friday sale. Babbel offers a 20-day money-back guarantee. Museo de Antropología está en la Ciudad de México. Thank you to Babbel for sponsoring the video, and remember to get 60% off on your subscription during their Black Friday sale. Click on the link in the description. Onto the video. To talk about the TV landscape, let's begin with Disney, specifically Marvel. In a recent Variety piece, Tatiana Siegel writes about the behind-the-scenes problems at Marvel. I just really love that illustration of the guys just like climbing up and then crashing down. Props to whoever did that, it's funny. Siegel reports that Marvel has largely succeeded due to the steady hand of Kevin Feige, who, and I didn't know this, just does everything. Not literally everything, but he has his personal creative hands in everything at Marvel, from writing to casting to editing. In this way, he's like an old-school Hollywood mogul. Probably makes sense when you're putting out 3 huge movies a year, but it becomes a problem when your parent company Disney decides, hey, it's COVID right now. Okay, they didn't decide that part. But as a consequence of COVID, they decided, hey, we need numbers to do good, and you know what makes numbers do good historically is Marvel. Siegel writes, the source of Marvel's current troubles can be traced back to 2020. That's when the COVID pandemic ushered in a mandate to help boost Disney's stock price with an endless torrent of interconnected Marvel content for the studio's fledgling streaming platform, Disney Plus. Oh, Disney Plus, you were meant to be the chosen one. I remember when people were talking about Disney Plus like it was going to be the new Netflix, like it was going to overthrow Netflix. That was funny. They encouraged people to sign up because they were like, hey, we have exclusive MCU TV shows that you have to watch. Like Falcon show. What is that? Falcon and the Winter Soldier show.
You have to stop calling them terrorists.
And WandaVision. In the following years, since this mandate, the results have been mixed, to say the least. Marvel is bleeding money with a single episode of She-Hulk costing some $25 million, dwarfing the budget of a final season episode of HBO's Game of Thrones. That sounds like a fine financial decision, if you ask me, but Iger publicly acknowledging the downside of a Marvel TV glut that diluted focus and attention. Hey guys, remember how I told you to make 1 million shows? Well, I guess that was a bad idea. In a lot of ways, Marvel's TV production has been a case study in what has become royally f***ed up in TV. In a way, they are a product of the problems they caused. I mean, skyrocketing budgets, slow production, confused writing. TV used to be, what did TV used to be? What's the word I'm looking for? Oh, inexpensive. I mean, it used to be simple. I mean, TV used to be cheap. TV, I don't know if you guys remember, but TV used to look like garbage, and it used to be bad, and we were just okay with that. Not a lot of room for artistic expression in a lot of ways. The shows were basically there to keep you watching ads. I'm not saying it's a good thing, I'm just saying that's how it used to be. It's kind of funny that CEOs like David Zaslav want more of that type of content now, because it is cheap. In Michael Schulman's New Yorker piece, which I legally read, he writes about Peter Biskin's new book, chronicling the rise and fall of prestige TV, comparing that era of you know, The Sopranos and Mad Men and Breaking Bad to the era of New Hollywood in the late 60s, 70s. At its most ambitious, the New Hollywood movement was a movement intended to cut film free of its evil twin, commerce, enabling it to fly high through the thin air of art. So just like Easy Rider and MASH were flukes that happened to succeed in a failing desperate system that was clawing away from like big studio productions, Orange is the New Black and Deadwood and House of Cards were allowed to flourish in an ecosystem that usually stifles creativity. Tech companies were taking over, and now, instead of money being the prize was legitimacy. And what makes you legitimate in the eyes of Hollywood? Winning golden naked statues. Shulman's piece thoroughly chronicles the shifting landscape in entertainment, and I suggest you read it. Where do we go from here? You know, the interesting thing about tech companies, they love debt. And they love spending money they don't have, which is the definition of debt, I think. Sooner or later, the streaming prices would go up and the ads would proliferate. Everyone knew this would happen. You know how Netflix raised their prices, limited password sharing, and created an ad tier? Then, like right after, every other service did the same thing. Except Apple, which is still in the prestige era, I think. They do have the morning show, though. Netflix had one bad quarter, and suddenly this entire industry built on debt and empty promises, established by taking risks and asking questions later, had to answer to their shareholders. And now they're like, I need my mommy. I'm so scared of losing money. Why did I put that in the script? I need my mommy. I'm so scared of losing money. You know, it's the story of Uber and Airbnb. After destroying the competition with unsustainable prices, they now dominate, providing largely the same services as before, except worse, more expensive and with no protections for their workers. Part of the big push to streaming, I think, was that studios didn't have to pay, you know, the same types of royalties to actors and writers and everyone who worked on the streaming shows. The tech sort of allows them to cut corners around union protections. Now these Hollywood studios, having been led astray by the golden promises of streaming, and after throwing their entire business model into streaming, have discovered that, hey, we're losing money. This isn't profitable. And not only is it not profitable, it's providing a arguably worse product. I mean, sure, for a while there, they were taking risks on exciting shows and movies, and they still will probably for a while, but I really think that era is coming to a close, at least starting to come to a close. Shows like Fleabag and I Will Destroy You, you know, more like indie-focused TV shows, will get less and less of a chance to see the light of day. Get ready for endless Stranger Things spin-offs. Prepare yourself for Love is Blind season 28. And even worse for the poor studios is that the writers and actors and craftspeople who work on these streaming shows, they actually want to get paid? What? That shouldn't be allowed. So this all culminated, of course, in the SAG-AFTRA and the Writers Guild strikes that have just ended, leaving us in a new, strange era of TV and movies. And the attitudes of studios and streamers will probably be like really cautious, unbearably cautious now. Prices are going to go up and reliable, bankable content will be the norm. Ironically, in all of this, the most reliable content on streaming services is like syndicated network TV from like 20 years ago. So recently the show Suits has been like a phenomenon on streaming. You know, it was just like standard boring show. Meghan Markle was in it, but they put it on Netflix and then all of a sudden it's like the biggest show in the world. But of course the people who made it aren't going to see like any money from that. That's like a show my dad would watch while folding laundry, you know? That's the type of old show that seems so simple that I don't think like streaming services know how to make anymore. What they do know how to make is like $25 million episodes of a 5-episode season that won't get a second season for 3 years. And they're wondering why they're losing money. I don't know. It'd probably be funny if it all goes back to the way it once was. Post-network streaming world could turn out to look very much like the pre-streaming broadcast world, Biskin concludes. Instead of the big 4 networks, we might see big 5 streamers. Marvel used to have sustainable, low-stakes TV shows, and I imagine they will return to that model soon. Shulman writes, the industry's default setting is for crap. Occasionally, the incentives change just enough to allow a cascade of innovation, but those incentives inevitably shift back to the norm. It's almost like art in a commoditized world is constantly fighting a losing battle. But what does any of this matter to me? It doesn't, because I watch YouTube, where art is always the priority. Thank you for watching. Hey guys, I don't usually do these types of videos very often. Usually I just passive-aggressively express myself in skits, but I just wanted to say a little more about this subject than usual. I just want to say thank you to my Patreons. If you like this kind of stuff, please consider supporting me on Patreon. These are my patrons right here. Anyways, thank you for watching. It means a lot. Thank you to my patrons. Thanks everyone, and thanks Babbel for sponsoring this video. All right, bye everyone.